Hey guys, this is V-Man from No Budget Productions, and with me today is my good friend David. How are we doing, David?
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to the show.
Yes, yes. Well, we had for the audience that doesn't know, we had a few months ago an artist, Richard Roberto. He reached out and he asked if he would be able to paint the captains, and um, of course, I said sure, because in my mind, anytime someone wants to, do something, I'm game because I love collaboration. But he had wanted to reach out to the different fan filmmakers, and he wasn't quite sure how. So I was like, well, hey, I know them. You want me to do it? He was like, sure. Would you mind? I was like, sure. One of the people was, my good friend David, who, as you guys know, plays Admiral Nogura. Um, and David agreed. He said, sure, be no problem. Um, I'm about to reveal that painting to David because it's been what 2 months now, I think,
Something like that.
something like that. Um, and then we will do the speed run through uh, to kind of get Richard's thoughts on that. So 1 second here, we got a comment. So Mike Longo says hailing frequencies are open. And Richard says, "Hi, David. Hi, Vance. Hey, Richard. Richard, I did send you the link. Forgive me. I saw you had sent me a message, and I didn't even see it until just now. I think I might have been either half asleep when I got your message, or uh, oh, he accidentally downgraded Admiral Nogura to captain. I think he meant in the video, so I think we can forgive that. But I sent you the message to come on program. So if you are free, feel free to jump on. I'll accept you on. If you're not, no harm, no foul. We're glad to have you in chat. So that being said, here is the painting of what Richard did for Admiral Nogura.
Ha! Wow, that really captures the spirit and essence of it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very yeah. So Richard, what's your what who are your influences in terms of painting or your artistry? I don't know if I think you're on in the comments or something, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be curious in terms of like you know, who you see as the artists that influence your style. Because everyone has their own style, but no one comes in a vacuum. So we all kind of learn from others.
Mike Longo says nice. Oh, there's a little bit of an echo, I think, on your end. I think it's coming through, or
On my end,
I think so.
huh, I
I
haven't
think I'm
changed anything.
maybe it's me
Mhm.
echoing through. I think we're good.
Oh, okay, he's
Okay.
trying to join the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Hmm. It hasn't come through. We haven't got the request through yet, Richard. So just try to join on in when. Yeah, Mike says beautiful work.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool looking. I'm glad you didn't remove my hair like Facebook did with my avatar yesterday.
Well, Mike says he loves the phaser, and yeah, that's the thing that I love. Like, and all the other pictures that you have that he did of the captains, you can
Mhm,
see it, but like this one, it's very much got the action pose, and I love
mhm.
that. It really kind of has that kind of Star Trek 6 type. All right, let's go click some, kick some Klingon butt. It looks great, man. It looks really great. Let's see here. Yeah, it's not showing up. For
I'm sure painting the fingers on the hands weren't easy either. That takes some work and some skill to do something like that.
well, I know for me, like I can't draw. I do charcoal, and I can't draw hands worth nothing.
Hmm.
So hold on. Let me exit out of here. Oh, there we go. Okay, just now I was about to exit off and see if I got. Okay, there we go. He's in. Got him in the stream. Let me get the painting off here. Otherwise, then we won't be able to see. Hey, Richard, how are we doing, my friend?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hi, Richard. Nice
Not
to meet
bad.
you.
Nice to meet you, David.
Wow, Richard, thank you so much for doing this. That's awesome.
Thanks for letting me. This has been such a great pleasure for me to be able to, paint things that I care about, have some kind of connection to them instead of just painting, kind of like exercises or, practice paintings from license-free photos from like Unsplash and places like that,
Wow.
Pixabay. This has been great. Every time I get a chance to, paint something I have a connection to. I've painted like friends of mine. I painted people's dogs where I got to photograph the dogs. So anytime there's like a real connection to something, it's way more fun and exciting for me. And that pose is great. I love the face pistol. That was like, my favorite thing and most terrifying thing, because painting hands for a lot of people
Yes.
is
Uh-huh.
complicated, and I'm not sure I did such a great job with the hands. But
Well, it looked to me like you nailed it. So,
oh, thank you very much.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
yeah. No, when I saw that, I could immediately knew that was the photo that you painted it off of, and so, so I'm really curious about like who who do you count as your artistic influences, if you can identify any in your own painting style.
I mean, my own painting style is an accident, so it's probably. But the painters that I love are all over the place. I mean, everything from like Rothko to Rembrandt, and everything in
Mhm,
between. But the kind of painters that I probably try to paint more like, although I'll never paint like them, or people like Zorn, Sargent. I even like modern painters like Richard Smith, who just passed away. Uh, you know, um, Cecilia Beau. These are painters that painted alla prima, and I didn't always paint alla prima. This is kind of a new-ish thing for me, but I'm gonna hope to get better at it. But this is the way I'm going to get better at it. Like it's a lot harder for me to, I think, really learn and develop when I'm just painting exercises that are
mhm.
interesting technically, but not really exciting. Whereas this was exciting. Like this was something I really felt some connection to. And there's, I love the passion you guys have, and I think that's a little bit infectious too. So I'll try to carry that some over.
Well, I could see this painting and probably the others you've done as being the types of paintings that you could hang up on, like the wall of captains, commanders, and admirals in Starfleet, in the hallway.
Awesome.
I told Frank on his stream. I plan to, because I know Richard said he was going to send each one of us the real painting, but I told Frank, I said I'm going to print off on a little printer like the paintings and then put it in my den, like each one of them, so that I can look at, like you had said, the kind of hall of
Mhm,
captains, because it's one of those things that like nobody uh like nobody gets painted, and to see like each one of the fan film captains painted, it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of like the back in the 90s they had the Star Trek TV guides, like collection
mhm,
104,
mhm,
204, and this is kind of like one of those things where it's like we are, like I'm one of six, you're six of six, like in the collection, we are a collection of paintings that Richard has done with this collection. It's a limited run, and it's kind of cool. You know, um, it's not happened before, at least not to my knowledge. It's kind of cool.
It would be great to get a set of prints of all the ones that you've done, just to have it as a collection.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Let's.
I,
Well,
I can absolutely send like high res images to whoever wants them.
it's yeah, it's one of those things. Like I think a lot of the fans are gonna want, because I know for me, I'm gonna post, all of them like in a screen cap type thing. But I know you're at least my fans are gonna want, they're gonna want those pictures. So you've done great work. You really have.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike Longo is in the chat and he says, I think this is a fan film first. And yeah, you are absolutely right. That's why when Richard approached me on this, my first response was, absolutely. I don't mind you painting and I don't mind reaching out because, nobody does this. This is a first, not saying, oh, it's historic, but for me, you know, it's personally, it motivates me to keep going because it's like, when I see great talent like Richard, how can I not, you know?
Well, you guys have inspired me, and I've told you this before. I've worked in independent film, small zero budget film, and I used to be part of something called TMU. It's the Movies Underground. It was a website for many years. It just shut down, which is kind of sad for all the filmmakers who were a part of it. But it hadn't really been active. Facebook sort of overtook a lot of that stuff. We used to have websites to congregate, and the founder of that was sort of like a father figure for all of us, even though he wasn't that much older than any of us. Passed away a couple of years ago, so it was a bit sad. So I just love seeing you guys doing this and making great content and putting it out there for us to consume. I just think I think what you guys do is amazing. So,
Well, with that being said, let's, we do have the speed run. So let's watch that and then we'll get back to our thoughts. So, now, for those in the audience, with the speed run, you won't be able to hear David or Richard or myself, but you will be able to hear what's going on in the video. So, like I said, then after that, we'll get back to the chat with us, and then we'll go back to the comments. So,
welcome to my channel. This is another time-lapse video. I am painting David Cheng as Captain Nogura. And I'm going to start using my usual approach to drawing, which is really kind of a loose version of using sight size to find the heights of different parts of the face, and then working from the inside out using angles to discover features. And one of the things that I really want to get better at is the rest of the face, where I'm working from the inside out. The eyes, the nose, and the mouth placement are all pretty reliable because of the angles and the way they cross some of those horizontal lines, which represent sort of vertical markers on the face. But when I'm talking about widths, it's a little harder to find a spot where an angle might cross because sight size doesn't really help with widths very much. So I'm doing a lot of measuring, and I want to continue to refine that process to make that more accurate because, the better the drawing is, the better the likeness will be. And a lot of people will use things like projectors or grids or tracings, which all work really, really well, but only work really well from a photograph. And even though I'm working from a photograph here, it's set up in my studio the same way it would be if I were working with a live model. So this is a life-size print. It's right next to my surface, which is how I would pose a model. And I'm standing back and kind of flicking my eyes back and forth to try to use that process of seeing a difference between my drawing and the subject to help guide some of that freehand work. And I want to go back and making some corrections you can see. And I put in a background that I think is close to the background here. I think there's not quite as much contrast in my background. But working right away on the features I feel I have the most confidence in, and just putting in our darkest darks. It's a very common way to start a painting. I did something a little different with this painting. I'm using a more transparent white, which won't really be evident right here because I'm still working on shadows. But when I start putting together the skin tones, the white that I normally use is titanium white. It's very opaque, and it tends to have a very strong influence on whatever color I'm using it to lighten. and the more transparent white just has less of a sort of a milkiness to it or a chalkiness to it. You wind up with a little better retention of the original chroma of the color. And you can see that, I think, in the forehead there, you see that there's very light value paint, but it's still got quite a bit of color intensity to it. That's something that I wouldn't be able to achieve easily with titanium white. And because I'm working very quickly, I thought this would be an advantage to me. And again, I'm working quickly in an alla prima style because that's how I work when I have a live model, and I want this practice here to be something I can use no matter what the subject or how it's posed. So working from a live model in the same way is going to have a very similar physical approach in terms of me standing back 7 or 8 feet from the surface and the model, and looking and mixing my colors and applying them in a way that, you know, from that far away, the contrast seems to match or is at least believable. So that's how I wound up with the colors of the face, using that more transparent white. Now I'm also using the same white to work on the uniform, and for that I actually don't need the transparency, but I was just too lazy to break out a different white for that, and I think it works well enough. This is something that I think a lot of artists either have some nervousness around, or it's like a notable part of their work is painting hands. And I didn't want to over focus on the hands, firstly because I didn't have a lot of time. I could spend like days just on the hands if I wanted to really do a really photorealistic job of running them. And I didn't want to have to do that. I just wanted them to be believable and not be a distraction, because this is a portrait of David, not just his hands. But it's really cool that he's holding that phase pistol. That was one of my favorite things about this reference photo. I love the phase pistol, and I really love that David included it. And just getting the emblem right in his uniform. And this is the final painting. I do think it is a pretty good likeness, and I hope David likes it. And if you like this video, please click the like button. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe to my channel and switch your notifications. I can be found on the web at robertosuzuki.art, on Instagram at roberto_suzuki_art, and at Facebook at Roberto Suzuki Art.
Awesome.
Wow, it's amazing to see how much goes into doing the painting and all the complexities of it, but you make it look so easy.
Thank you. You guys caught me eating. Sorry about that.
No, hey, that's one thing about the channel is we do whatever we want. So you are fine, my friend. You are fine. It's no big deal. So
yeah, I really enjoy, not only the end products of seeing artistic work, but also I enjoy, seeing or reading about the process of how things come together. And so this was really a really good, succinct way of seeing how you went about taking that, the picture and working from a totally blank canvas and coming up with the beautiful work that you did. So thanks for recording that and sharing that process with us.
Thanks very much. And I think I'm hearing echo, and it might be on my side, so I apologize about that. It seems to have corrected itself. I'd love to hear more about you, David, and kind of what got you involved in acting and fan films, and kind of what you're up to now.
Oh gosh. Well, I've been a Star Trek fan for so many years, a long time. And I actually kind of just about maybe around 12 years ago or something started getting into Star Trek cosplaying, going to conventions and dressing up in the Star Trek uniforms and stuff. And then at some point a few years ago, I got to be aware that, fans were out there making these Star Trek fan films. And eventually I kind of got to thinking, oh, I think I'd like to make one of those, just for fun and, just a one-time thing, right? So I got together with some people, some friends, and we did that. And it was such a fun process for us that thought, oh, well, maybe I'll make another one, right? And then it just kind of blossomed from there, where now I'm just, making, my friends and I are making, more, films every year now. So we'll hopefully continue to do that as long as we can, and as long as we're, interested in doing that.
Cool.
Yeah. But in the during that time too, I got to know Vance. Vance reached out to me, and I got to see what an amazing filmmaker he is, and just the sort of the Roger Corman of Star Trek fan films. Is what I think of him. A one-man film factory. Of course, it's not one man. He's got a lot of people working with him, but he's the visionary. So it's been great. I just appreciate all of Vance's efforts to really work with all the filmmakers in our community, including myself.
Well, the thing is, you really took a small obscure reference in the motion picture and some books, because I think from what you had said, he's in a few books, but you really made that character in the sword fighting film. And forgive me, I'm terrible with names. Like anyone that knows me or follows the channel for a couple of shows knows I can't remember names worth nothing. That's why every time, I'm always afraid that I'm gonna call Richard Robert, because the two names, I always look at the name. I'm like, what is it? I'm always like, if you notice, like if you could see my eyes, they always shift down just a little bit. So I'm like, I never want to mistakenly call you the wrong, because I am terrible on names. So that's why I'm always like, oh, the film with the thing, because I don't remember names, worth nothing. But your sword fighting film, like that film was so good. Because it was so un-Star Trek in terms of, we got to be on a ship and we got to fight the Klingons and we got to do this. And then you had it in the TMP era, which again, most fan films didn't do. So, you weren't like most fan films, which is, let me be my version of Kirk and let's have our version of Spock and let's do what everyone else has done. Like, you were different, and I loved that. And when I heard Nogura, I was like, oh, that's that one dude that Scotty and Kirk, they did that one joke where Kirk is like, yeah, right. And I'm like, why are you talking like that, Kirk? Like, what? Like, well, this is weird. Like, I mean, the whole scene is creepy in general. Like, oh, this is odd, But I got it. And I love the fact that you went there, because in my films, I always go for the subtle things where 100 people could be watching, but only like 3 people get it. And when I heard Nogura, I was like, I get it. Like, I felt like one of those people, like, one of the few people that get a joke in a Kevin Smith movie,
Mm-hmm.
So like, I felt like one of the in people in your film. So, I mean, you're a very talented actor and you're so smart in your writing, so, I love working with you because you think on those levels,
Well, thanks for your kind words. But I want to
Yeah.
go back to Richard, because it's all about him. Richard, what's next for you? I think my good friend Mike Longo, who is here on the chat, is probably very interested in getting a portrait done of himself as Captain Kirk. He plays Captain Kirk in a number of my films, and I can kind of see him, just kind of being really interested in seeing that happen.
Yeah, so one of the things I would like to do is cover even more captains. I'd love to get some female captains, because we haven't done that yet. And yes, it was done in oil. Thank you for your question, Donna. Yeah, I hate to put it on Vance, but he has organized all of this, because if it wasn't for Vance, I'd still be floundering. Like, I've still actually reached out independently to other people who haven't gotten back to me yet. So If you're willing to be a conduit, or if Mike wants to contact me directly, that would be great.
Like,
But I think filtering all this stuff through Vance has been such a cohesive experience that if Vance is willing to continue to
yep.
help organize that, then that would be probably the best way to go.
Well, I do have a she doesn't have the uniform on her, but I do have some screen caps of a film that we did that had a female captain. I can reach out to a few if you're looking to do female captains, but
Yeah.
I do know in one of the films that we do have, and there's plenty of screenshots, so it may not be able to give you the kind of shadowing that you're looking for, but I think it, and it may not be high. It's not going to be high resolution because, like I said,
that's
it's on
the only
film,
issue.
Yeah.
The process that I use, I mean, you can see I don't know if you can see behind me, but your photo is still set up. This is my studio that I'm in right now, and it's life-sized, right? So this is as if you and I were hanging out. You know what I mean? So, in order for me to blow up that photo to print it that size, I need to have enough pixels in there for it to not, diffuse. So the largest size file usually is the way to go. So that, and it doesn't have to be on its own high density enough for me to do this, but it's got to be high density enough for me to enhance it so that I can do this. Because the way I'm painting here is the same approach as if there were literally a model sitting here. And there will be later today, actually. I'm going to be painting, a friend of mine's coming in, and we're doing a series of 3 paintings with him. This will be my second painting from life. So he'll sit in a chair right next to my easel, and I put a canvas right next to his head. That canvas is lined up with the side of his head so that my painting is life-sized. If it was slightly behind his head, the painting would look larger than life-size, because if you move something forward or back in space, it gets bigger or smaller. If it were closer to his nose, it would be a little smaller than life-size. So I put him right there. I have a light. All my lights are off except for this one light that hits him, and I have a separate light for my palette here. So that process is something I want to continue to work on. And the photos enable me to do that if I can do this life-size print and set it up in this way. So that's why I need to have the higher density pixel files so I can blow them up. And it looks like my model is here. Oh, he's not here yet. He'll be here about 20 minutes. So, yeah, that's all it really takes. And obviously consent. That's the other thing. Make sure people want me to do it. But, doing this has been so good for me in terms of, and making the videos, which I had never done before, and having to think about my process and explain it to people. And I have no idea if anyone's going to benefit from that. But as I'm sort of learning on this journey, if I can share things that help other people, great, and if not, maybe it's just an archive of the stuff that I did. So.
Well, that's been one of the things that I've found, that, it may not reach, thousands of people, but it's always that one person that happens, maybe a few years later on that retroactively looks back, like on a rewind watch, that looks, and they're like, I never do that, and then they find it, and then they take that nugget of information, and then they go run and do something with it, so it's you never know how you impact someone later on. So, like, I find, even as an artist who doesn't paint but does, charcoal stuff, I love it, and I being as someone behind the camera, I still find them informative, and I love them, and I think the audience, they obviously tune in and watch them. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should continue, and I just, I found this whole process quite fascinating to me, and I think that people would continue to benefit from seeing it, whether or not they're going to pursue painting or not. I think it just is really interesting and fascinating to see, the process that you go through. So I would encourage you to continue.
Yeah. The thing also, like, that's good is, like, you don't overextend it. Like, it's not like you're doing like 20 minutes worth of a video. Like it's, you usually do them in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, where, and you do talk about like your thought process of why you do things a certain way, and like why a certain shadow is cast or whatnot. Like, and it, like, again, I love that process, because having done some behind the scenes videos myself, and having watched tons of them, because I used to do that when I, put in a DVD in the player. That kind of ages me in the age of streaming. Watching behind the scenes stuff, you get an appreciation of what goes into filmmaking. And it's the same thing here. You get an appreciation for the painting, and then when you see it, you get a better appreciation of what goes into that. Like, I love it. I hope you do continue doing them. And it makes me want to go find out more. Hey, he's looking for this, you should do it, just because I want to see your stuff more. So,
Thank you.
So with that being said, is there anything else? Because we've hit the 30-minute mark. So it's kind of the end of the video. Is there anything else either of you guys have to say before we cut the video short?
I just want to say, Richard, again, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it, and I will figure out a way to contact you or go through Vance or something, because I definitely want to get a copy of that.
Yes.
And
So I need everyone's contact information. I don't know exactly what's necessary for shipping, but it might, address of some sort that I can send it to you, and it might need phone numbers. I don't know exactly how the shipping companies handle that. They sometimes require phone numbers. If you're comfortable doing that, that would be a big help. Yeah.
Okay. And then I want to thank Vance also for
Yeah.
putting this together and hosting this, and, just having us on, and, giving us a chance to see Richard's work and just how he does it.
Absolutely. I think for everybody, I don't think anybody would mind, because we're the age of Facebook, of me doing like three-way conversations with Richard and each person. I don't think anyone would mind, considering they each one gave the consent of doing the painting, and then everyone can do individually like how they want that done. So that's probably what I'll do. But yeah, absolutely, this was my pleasure. Bringing people together is kind of what fandom / geekdom is all about. Because I remember 20, 30 years ago when we were all in school, we were the kids at the lunch table that were like, oh, don't hit me, and now it's like, we rule the world, let's go stream. But in the pandemic age, where we all can't even go to Walmart without putting our face masks on for fear of what might happen, it's good to see some positivity come out of kind of the crap that's going on. So good vibes. So with that being said, Richard, thank you for coming on, and thank you for all you do. And we'll see about getting, I think David's going to reach out to Mike, or Mike's been reaching to David. So I'm sure he'll see about that. I will reach out to two people actually popped in my head, so I will see about reaching out to them on my behalf. Yeah, with that being said, both of you, thank you. Everybody in chat, thank you for watching, and everybody watching on the rewind. If you want to click on the description of the video, Richard will send me, Richard will have the Instagram information where this painting can be found. Go to his Instagram, support it. Subscribe to his Instagram, leave a comment. I tell you, things like that go a long way. So support him. Yeah, support him. With that being said, everybody, thanks for watching. Be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.